right, welcome. In this screencast, what we're going to do is talk about Gmail and give you a few pointers on how to use Gmail. As you know, or should know at this point, the district is set to go to our .mcusd709.org accounts for both students and teachers next year. And so we've started to get a few questions about, okay, how do you use this? What's the easiest way? And so that's what we're going to attempt to do here in the next 15 minutes or so. And so let's get started. Okay. The first thing to keep in mind when we talk about Gmail is it is just email. And so if you know how to use Outlook and you are comfortable using Outlook, Gmail is just another way of getting your email. So don't make it harder than it has to be. The other thing I would suggest is that next year, when we make the switch to Gmail, that you just make the switch to Gmail and not use Gmail through Outlook. I think that creates maybe more issues because you're trying to run Gmail through Outlook, and so sometimes people who have done that, they have difficulties with accessing email. If you go, as you see up here, to mail.google.com, you can get to it through this kind of waffle iron, if you will, and you can go to mail and be able to get that mail. Okay, so let's just kind of jump right in, and what I plan on doing is moving pretty quickly through this. The nice thing about a video tutorial is you can pause it. You can go back and rewatch it. I think it is important to do this on a video tutorial because you see the whole process. Sometimes when you do it on a Google Doc and you have it laid out step by step, it's very easy to miss a step. So I think this video tutorial will help with that. The first thing I like to do is just give people what I call the lay of the land. And by the lay of the land, let's just look at how email is set up within Gmail. What I've done is logged in as a test teacher. You can kind of tell up in the corner what account you are logged in with. I just want to very quickly show you this is what my Gmail looks like for work. It looks different. I've done some different things with the theme. You will notice these different color codings. You will notice the sidebar on the left being different. I'll show you, even if it's just briefly, how to make Gmail your own. But before we do that, like I said, let's just do that lay of the land. You will notice that the Morton branding is in the top left corner. If you do not have the Morton branding, that means that you are not in the mcusd709.org email. Let's start with the left-hand side. This compose button is just what it says. This is where you're going to actually compose any emails. If you select compose, it's going to bring up this new message. Sometimes people don't like that it's relegated to this kind of bottom right-hand corner, but if you select this full screen, it will bring it up in full screen. If you select the non-full screen, it's going to bring it down to the bottom. I do want to point out, though, Google usually has a reason for doing everything. They purposely put this message in the bottom so that you can continue to scroll through your emails while you're composing a new one. And that is, if you think about it, there are times where that would need to be done. Okay, and so you'll notice that just like in Outlook, there's the to bar. That is where you're going to type in who the email is going to. You'll notice you have your CC, which is carbon copy. Remember, with a carbon copy, if you select this, everybody who is a recipient is going to see everybody else. BCC is useful when you're sending to a large group of people, and we've all scrolled through that email where there are like 100 people that are part of it. A BCC means that you are not going to see all the recipients of the email. And I'll come back and show you a little bit more about the sending of an email in just a bit. But let's continue kind of along this left side. You'll notice there are some what some of you are going to call folders. Actually, Google refers to them as labels. You'll see inbox here. When you select inbox, what that's showing me is this is my inbox. It's what I'm looking at. I have 14 unread messages. You can tell that they're unread by the color. And so the darker, because they're bold, that means that they have not been read yet. Starred, you'll notice if I select this, starred, there are no messages that are starred. But if you go to your inbox, and Google has some nifty little, ways of organizing your email that aren't real difficult. If I look at this, and I had some people send me some emails just so we could have something to work with, if I want to go down here and say, well, this Google Plus team email that I got, there's a star right here in the middle. If I select that star, makes it yellow, and I go back here to starred, now I see that email there. If I want to unstar it, it then removes it from the starred folder. So starring is nice if you want to temporarily come up with a system of, okay, anything that's starred is something that I want to get back to. Google also has something called important, and so it's another label. The important is this little tag, and that will be marked as important. And so again, I can go here and I can tag that as important. I can then see just those ones that are that I've labeled as important. So I'm going to go back here and get rid of that. Sent mail is, just what it says. You can go there and see all of the email that you have sent. Just as a side note, a number of people don't realize that the sent mail is there, including students. And so if a student has told you, well, I sent you that email, don't be afraid to go and ask them to look in their sent mail, and you can see then right away if in fact they did send you that email. If you start to compose something and you don't finish it, it will be put into drafts. And then if you select this more, there is this all mail. I'm going to talk just very briefly about it right now. All mail is just what it says. It is all the mail that you have received in Google. Keep in mind, and I get made fun of it quite a bit, Google is unlimited storage for us. And so there's really no reason to get rid of all mail. Google is easy to search, and so you can go back and search all that mail. And again, I'll talk about that a little bit more here in just a bit. Spam, if you want to label something as spam, and again, I'll show you the kind of labeling process. And then trash. I will tell you that Google really, you should put very few things in the trash. Actually delete very few things. Okay, so that's kind of this left side. So let's go along this top bar. You'll notice right now there's not very much stuff up here. If you select more and the drop down, you really only get mark all as read. Really where the functionality comes in is when you select an email, now it opens up a variety of actions that you can take on that email. And I want to start out with this one, and it's my favorite part of Gmail, and that is the archive button. And what the archive button does, it moves it out of your inbox into all mail. Okay? So I recommend basically using archive for every email that you want to get rid of. Okay? I'm going to show you how to do a little bit more with this button here in a second, but I would get in the habit of using the archive button. Again, you're not going to, it doesn't matter, there's enough space available that you can archive everything. If I wanted to report this as spam, and I won't do that, or I won't get any emails from Rosie Duran, but I can select, and you'll notice these are selectable on the side. So let's say that if I thought from the Gmail team that was spam, I could select all of those, report as spam. It'll go to your spam folder. You can select delete. And again, I guess I'm not going to say don't ever delete anything. If you get a completely inappropriate email, by all means, you can delete it. What Google does is they say that a deleted email will officially delete and not be searchable after about 30 days. And they literally use the term about 30 days. So again, I'm not going to say don't ever use delete. I would get in the habit of using this archive. Really, those are probably the actions that you're going to take with these top bars right now. We'll come back and talk about this label and move to. But I want to show you, let's just open up an email. So here we have this email that Lori Vandervoorn has sent me, and let's say that I want to reply to this, or let's see what options I have. Over here on the right, if I drop this down, I can reply or I can forward. We'll talk about this filter messages. You can add people to contacts list. You can block people if you want to. But you'll notice down here in the box there is a reply and a forward. So if I just simply want to reply, I go here and I can type what I want in, and then that will be sent to her. I have some options in terms of formatting, and I can attach files. If you have everything that you're going to attach in Google Drive, you can click on Google Drive, you can insert photos, a link, and then of course emojis if you want to. And then you click send, and that email then will be sent out. Okay, so that's kind of the options you have as you are crafting an email or replying to one that that was sent to you. You'll notice here my inbox is changed. This is put as a draft because I didn't actually send this to Lori. You'll notice over here to the right, it actually then, or I'm sorry, to the left, you'll notice the drafts showing that there is one of those drafts in there. Okay, that's the basics behind Gmail. I guess maybe I should show you a little bit more specifically. If you do compose, it brings up this, like I said before. Well, let's go back here to compose. And notice with compose, you have the same kind of options in the bottom right-hand corner as you did before. And like I said, you can enlarge that so that it goes to the middle. You have some ability of, doing some formatting with the text as well. Okay, so that really is kind of the basics of the sending and receiving email. So in this next portion, let's talk about a little bit more of the power of what you can actually do with Gmail. Okay, this next part, I'm going to show you kind of how to think about organizing your Gmail. And I know that some people are fanatical right now about organizing Outlook. You can do the same thing with Gmail. All of these things that I'm showing you how to do in Gmail, you can do in Outlook. I think it's just a little bit easier within Gmail. So I'm going to show you how did I get this help tickets off to the side and this iPad off to the side. That's what I'm going to take a few minutes to show you. And this is one of those that once you get the hang of this, it really does become a fairly easy process. So I'm looking at this and I have some commonalities here. I've got some patterns. I've got 3 that have come from the Gmail team. I've got 2 that have come from Annette Urban and 2 from Lori Vandervoorn, a couple from Rosie Duran. Let's say that I want to put all of the emails. I'm a technology integration specialist. So let's say that I want to create a new label. I want to create something over here where I can put these emails into. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to say create new label. Now I will tell you that Google refers to this as labels. Outlook, think about it as folders. They are one and the same. They truly mean the same thing. So I'm going to say I want to create a new label, and I want to call this, for technology integration specialist, that's going to be one of my labels. You'll notice this little check mark here that says nest label under. Right now, I just want to make this kind of a top level label or a top level folder, and I'm going to create it. You'll notice it appears over here to the left. If I click this down arrow, I have then some options. I can go and say, well, I want to label this as a color, and I'm going to label it as red. Okay, so you'll notice that this TIS is red. Now the question becomes, how do I get things from TIS, or I'm sorry, from here into TIS? And you can do a couple of things. One is very simply, you can select it and drag it over. And I'm not going to let go of this because I want to show you another way, and drop it into there, and then it will become labeled as TIS. But I want to show you something that I think is even a little bit more powerful, and I want it to automatically label things. So every time Annette emails me, I want it to label it as TIS. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to select one of Annette's emails. I'm going to go up here to More, and I'm going to do filter messages like these. And if I select that, I'm going to bring, it's kind of asking me, okay, how do you want to filter this? In this case, I want to say anytime Annette.urban@morton709 emails me, okay, I don't have to do anything. I can put a subject line in here, or I'm sorry, I can put a subject line in there. I can go in and say what words it has. In this case, I just want all of the emails that come from Annette to be labeled a certain thing. So I'm going to go down here and do create filter with this search. And now I've got some options. I can skip the inbox. I'm not going to go through all of these. I can mark it as red. I can star it automatically. So if you are in an email exchange with, a parent or something like that, you can set up one that says, hey, anytime it comes from Bob Smith, I want to star it, and so you kind of know that that's there. In this case, I want to apply a label, or as Outlook would say it, I want to put it in a folder. I'm going to go here to choose label, and now I could either choose TIS, or I want to go even further, and I want to say, you know what? I want to create another label that is Annette, that is nested under TIS, and now I'm going to do create. And what you'll notice, this little line here says, do you want to also apply the filter to the two matching conversations? In this case, yeah, I don't want to have to do this every single time. So now I'm going to click create filter, and you will notice that in the inbox, what you have now is this has gone as TIS Annette. Over to the side, there's a little arrow that I can select down and expand that selection. There's Annette. I can go in and do the same thing. I can do a label color, and I can say that's going to be blue, and now it automatically sets that to blue. The nice thing is, and I can't really show this to you because I'm not doing this with, none of these people on my list are actually able to email me right now. When and if Annette were to email me again, it will automatically put this as a label. Okay, so here's what's nice. Let's go back to that archive. If I select both of these, and I want to clean out my inbox, and I select archive, it gets rid of those two, but what it's done, it's put them in the proper folder, the proper label. Okay, they're out of my inbox. I've cleaned them out, but they're still there. They've actually been archived to where I want them to go. So the more that you work with these filters, and you're not going to filter everything, but if you're the principal of your building, if you want to put a filter that says, hey, every time my principal emails me, it's going to put it into you can do into the important column or into the starred. It just makes it nice. It kind of automates the system. It automates the organizational structure of Gmail. Now, let's talk one more level here about, so let's say that, a lot of emails you're going to get aren't going to necessarily be filtered like that. So you want to clean out the inbox. Well, I want to get rid of these Gmail team. I mean, I want to be able to find them at some point, so I don't want to delete them because I don't want to, in 45 days, find out that they actually got deleted. If I select all of the emails that I want to archive, and notice they're not any other label attached to this, and I click archive, I don't see them anymore. They're not in my inbox. But if I go down to all mail, there is everything all mail. If I want to go back and say, oh, you know what, I should have actually put this in the inbox. I want it back in the inbox. I can go here, select it with that check mark, and then do move to inbox. And if I do that, it takes it out of, it doesn't really take it out of all mail. You'll notice it just adds the inbox tag to it because all of these, this is all of the mail. This shows you where it's at. Right now, this one from Donald is in the inbox. And it, like I said, once, and you can see that actually this Gmail team actually went back to the inbox. Once you kind of get used to this, really it's a fairly easy way of helping to organize email over the right. If you don't really care about an email, you get it and it's from, Costco and they're providing coupons or whatever. And if you just click archive, just select that one and then click archive, it'll get it out of your way, if you will, but it still becomes available in all mail. One of the things that Google does, by the way, this more and less, you can move anything that's here up here, so your all mail appears above. Google's theory, though, is we kind of put it below the line because you're probably not going to use all mail all that often. You can search by this bar, and because it's Google, the search is a fairly powerful kind of search. All right. We're going to cover one more area of this presentation. And that last area is going to be some of the settings that you can mess around with in Gmail, the kind of way you can make it yours, if you will. If you go to this gear and select its settings, you can see there are some, and I won't spend a lot of time with this, I have it on display density of comfortable. This is cozy, and you'll notice if you look closely, it changes how much is going to eventually fit on the screen. I like the comfortable mode. It spreads things out a little bit. You can mess around with this configuring inbox, and I can maybe show that in another tutorial. But I really want to look at the settings part of this. And there's a lot going on here. There's general, labels, inbox, accounts, all the way across the line. I really just want to talk about general, and I want to talk about labs. Okay? General is where you're going to go to, again, kind of adjust the site to your liking. You can do maximum page size. You can say how many conversations you want to fit on one page. If you've ever been in Outlook and it asks you, do you wish to display internal images? I have it set up to, external images. I always have it set up to always display those external images so it doesn't have to ask each time. You can default reply behavior. I highly recommend that you do reply. If you do reply all, it will literally send automatically a response to everybody on the email. That's kind of flirting with disaster when you do that, so you might want to consider just leaving it on reply. This is where you can change your default text style, so that it looks the same way every single time. This conversation view I have on. A lot of people don't like it, and it's not going to be great for me to show because I don't have any really that are in conversation mode. This has to do with when you are emailing back and forth between people. It'll group all those conversations together. A lot of people like this to be off. Again, you can adjust that. This one is, I really like this show send and archive button in reply. What that means is when I go to send an email, it will actually send and then it archives it automatically. And so if you've got a label attached to it, it will put it into that label. If not, it'll put it into all mail. It's a great way to clean up your inbox. Again, that's completely up to you as to whether you want to do this. This, I think, is a great feature, this undo send. I would highly recommend it. You select this box to enable undo send, and then you can select the amount of time. What that means is if you send an email, you'll select send. It will actually wait. It'll look like it's sent, but it'll wait 30 seconds before it sends it. That's one of those, you think twice about sending the email. You can easily go back and delete that email. It is worth noting, and I can't tell you how many times I've done this. I will tell somebody on the phone, I'll be working with a salesperson or whatever, and I say, oh yeah, I've sent it to you, and they're like, oh, I haven't gotten it yet. It will take 30 seconds to send that email out. So just be aware of that. This is, and I'll show you, this is the stars that I showed you, and the first time I clicked on it, it was that yellow star. You can go in and say, I want to use all these symbols as organizational pieces, so I'm going to select this all stars, so I have all of these in use. If I go back to my I'm going to cancel that. You do have to go down and select save changes, and I just want to show you this very quickly. If I click the first time on the star, I get a yellow. If I click the second time, I get red, purple, blue, green. You can keep cycling through those stars. Again, completely up to you if you want to use that or not. I don't know. I think how many ever are there, 10 is sort of excessive, but you can also click and drag and say, well, I don't want to move these two, or I don't want to use these two, so you can click them down to not in use. There's your desktop notifications, and you can select a picture for you. The signature is where you can do, just that. You can put a signature, and you can say, I want to select that, and so it will actually put your signature in there every single time. Here's the only thing I don't like about the signature, and then I'll show you one other way of doing signatures. I'm not a big fan of it because depending on who I'm emailing, I have different signatures. If I'm emailing teachers, well, I will put thanks Don or thanks Don Sturm. If I'm emailing a student, I will say thanks Mr. Sturm. If I'm emailing more of a formal kind of situation, then I may put a really formal that has all of my contact information. With Google, you really get this one signature. And so I choose not to do the signature, but like I said, I'll explain how you can actually make this a little bit more powerful than it even appears. And then this last part is your vacation responder on and off, just like you have in Outlook. The other thing I would suggest doing, if you go back into settings, is going to labs. And when you go to labs, these are things that Google makes available that can leave or become non-functional at any point in time. Okay, now, they usually give you a warning about it, and you can go through and enable or disable things. I think I have the calendar somewhere. There is, and we won't spend a lot of time on it, you can see the calendar, right here, Google Calendar Gadget. You can enable that. The one that I would highly recommend enabling is this canned responses. Okay, and I'll show you what that canned response does. And so I'm going to go down here and save changes. And so now what I'm going to do is, let's say I want to have a couple of signatures here, and I want to have some variety of signatures. So I'd click Compose. In this case, I'm going to open this up into a full screen, and I am going to go in and say Mr. Sturm. I'm going to go down here to this down arrow, and let's try this again. I'm going to do this down arrow, and you're going to see something called canned responses. If I select this, new canned response, and I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to put student signature, and I'm going to do OK. Now, I'm going to close this out, and I'm going to click Compose, and I'm going to send to teacher, and I'm going to do test, and I'm going to go down here, and let me do this actually, test student, and then I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to type whatever the email is. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to go down here to the bottom right again, canned response, and now you'll see where it says insert student signature, and then it puts my name in there. Okay, now I'm not going to send this, but if I did send it, it would, I would be able to add that signature onto that email. If I go and Compose again, and I say here's, and I go down here, and I select canned responses, and I put new canned response, and now I do teacher informal, and then I do OK. Now, whatever I've typed here is going to be what ends up on the email when I select informal teacher. So I go here, I go down, I type the email that I wanted to do, and then I select canned responses again, and I do insert teacher informal, and now it says thanks, Don. Okay, so you can have many different signatures. The other nice thing about it is if you have something that you do the same way, you send the same email out all the time. If kids email you and they want to know what the password is for your website, you can create, it doesn't have to just be a signature. You could actually create a whole form letter right here and save that as a canned response and say request for homework or whatever it might be, and it saves a ton of time. So anything that you do over and over and over again, for me, I use canned responses for how to restart an iPad. Instead of typing that when a parent emails me and they're like, we're having trouble with the iPad, what do I do to fix it? I've got a certain set of steps. Rather than type them over and over and over again, I just have that as a canned response and send it out. Hopefully, I know this was kind of long, but again, the nice thing is you can watch this as much as you want or as little as you want. You can come back to it later on. You can pause it. I really do hope that this kind of gives you that background to Gmail, and see you later.